Alright, as you guys know, I'm a hockey fan. I haven't really been streaming much these playoffs. I haven't had time to set up a live stream and do play-by-play. However, some news came up about the Arizona Coyotes, and I'm wearing my Vegas Golden Knights jersey because it's sort of related, hockey in the desert, I guess. And one quick note before we get into this, really didn't want them to play Dallas. I feel like Dallas is better than Vegas. Simply because they have Jake Ottinger, and I think they're much better defensively than Vegas is. Vegas is a lot more inconsistent than Dallas, is what I'm saying. So, now we're going to get into the situation at hand. Now, being a sports fan, I'm going to shift this slightly. Being a sports fan, especially a hockey fan, I feel like I had to make a video about this. It's a crime if I didn't. The Arizona Coyotes. The city of Tempe, the voters in the city of Tempe, Arizona, have voted against Propositions 301, 302, and 303, which were for the new arena district. I'm not sure what else was supposed to be in the district, but it was going to bring a new arena for the Arizona Coyotes, almost 7,000 new jobs to the city of Tempe. It would turn what was a landfill into a landmark for the city, I guess, is what they said, which would generate millions in revenue for the city of Tempe. And there would be no new taxes with it. This was not funded by taxpayer money at all. This was funded entirely, it was supposed to be funded entirely by the owners of the Coyotes, or whoever was paying for the arena. Not the taxpayers, I'll tell you that much. And I'm trying to make this as quick as possible. I don't want to keep you guys here for too long. Now, City Council actually voted 7-0 in favor of the new arena district in Tempe. But ultimately, the citizens have the final say. 301 and 302, as of when Fox 10's article was written last night or yesterday, we're at 56% not in favor. That's 44% of voters who desperately wanted this district and who desperately wanted to keep the team in Arizona, who hit that yes button. I would have been one of them. I think hockey in the desert's awesome. Just ask Vegas. 303 was at 57% not in favor. And that's 43% more people, as long as I'm doing math right, that wanted the Coyotes to stay in Arizona. And once again, I would have been one of them. So, the Coyotes' future in Arizona is really cloudy. Looking at their history in Arizona, after they moved from Winnipeg, they played in America West Arena. If you don't know who America West is, I'm pretty sure they were a former airline. I don't know if they merged with somebody. I don't know much about it. They played there from 96 to 03. But the problem with that arena is, and we'll also get to this in a few minutes, wasn't fit for hockey, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. I just repeated myself because I'm an idiot. They shared it with the Phoenix Suns of the NBA. It was a basketball arena. What they had to do was they had to cut some of the seats out on one side of the ice, and there were a few rows of seats that were hanging out over the glass. That's a no-no these days. Just ask the Islanders. You see how horribly that works. It's happened before a million times where a hockey team will share an arena with a basketball team, but it's built for basketball. It doesn't work, and it never has. And eventually, they had to cut all those seats on that side of the ice out, and that cut the capacity to below 17,000, almost 16,000 people, which is definitely not NHL capacity. After 03, they moved to Glendale Arena, which is now Desert Diamond Arena. They played there for 19 years, or is it 20? I'm probably not doing math right. From 2003 to last year, 2022. It also was Jobbing.com Arena and Gila River Arena during that time. They moved out of there, and now it's Desert Diamond Arena. And now, of course, they play in Arizona State University's Mullet Arena. And who knows how much longer they'll be in that building with this new development out of the city of Tempe. And the team was clowned on for it. So, what now? What now? I wrote that big at the bottom because I didn't have much else to write there. Well, there are a million possibilities. I'm going to quickly talk about Quebec City and get it out of the way. Sorry, the Coyotes are not moving to Quebec City. Yeah, Videotron Center's there, opened in 2015. It seats 18,259 people. There are a couple of problems with this. Number one, the Quebec Remparts already occupy the building, and it's probably difficult for two hockey teams to occupy the building. And number two, the NHL probably doesn't want to realign the divisions again because of Columbus and Detroit. When the new alignment came out after the 2012-2013 season, the abbreviated season, lockout shortened, only 48 games. When the new alignment came out, Columbus and Detroit fought to the end to be in the East. They wanted to play teams in their own time zone more frequently than teams two time zones, sometimes 3 time zones to their west, because they're both in the Eastern time zone. They didn't want that travel anymore. And so they were put in the East, and that created an imbalance. If the Coyotes moved to Quebec City, that would create another imbalance. That would put 17 teams in the East and 15 in the West, which means they would likely have to move Columbus to the West. Can't do that. They do not want to be in the West, and that is why Quebec City is a huge no. Although it would be awesome, I'm not against it. I'm not saying Quebec City wouldn't support a team. They absolutely would. I'm pretty sure they sell out the building for junior games. I feel like that's saying a lot. But no, Quebec City's a no for that reason. I also put Phoenix on here because if Gary Bettman really wants to keep pouring money into the disaster that is the Arizona Coyotes project, you could put him back in Footprint Center. But once again, like I said a couple minutes ago, the building's not fit for hockey. It would only seat 16,210 people, and they will be contending with an NBA team who's been in that arena since they started. The arena was built in 92. It's an older building. So we're saying no to Quebec City and absolutely not to Phoenix. I don't think they're staying in Arizona. They're going to go somewhere else. Now think about it. When Seattle was brought in 2021, the Coyotes were moved to the Central Division. This pretty much opened up just about any other opportunity for Arizona to move to any of the following 4 cities, particularly one of the 3 on the right. But I want to talk about Salt Lake City. I put a question mark next to this one because this is another one that was brought up. Vivint Arena is there, and they do also have a couple of other arena options. The one where the Grizzlies play. We'll get to them in a minute. 14,000 for hockey. That is smaller than Winnipeg's Canada Life Center. And they would have to contend with the Utah Jazz. Now, once again, building's not fit for hockey. It's not going to work. However, it has hosted hockey before. The last couple of years, it's hosted the Frozen Fury preseason game between the Los Angeles Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights. See? Vegas. And also the Utah Grizzlies. Salt Lake, or Utah as a whole, has hockey in it. There's hockey in Utah. I see no reason why Salt Lake couldn't support a hockey team. Same with Quebec City. Phoenix is not going to work. I might as well erase them from the board. Another one that I'm thinking about, and I would actually be a big fan of this, Milwaukee. They just hosted a hockey game at the Pfizer Forum, which I have listed here. It's not exactly a hockey arena, but you do also have UW Milwaukee Panther Arena just down the street. So if they maybe want to play there for a few years while they wait for a new building to be built, it could do that as well. But Pfizer Forum is there, and I think that's the best option for them. It seats 15,178 for hockey that would contend with the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe there are 11 arenas in the U.S. and Canada where an NHL and an NBA team share the space. I'm pretty sure there's 11. Somebody can fact check me in the comments. Pfizer Forum is not built for hockey, but think about it. This building wasn't built for hockey. This building's not built for hockey. Neither is this building. And also Barclays Center. That is a huge embarrassment. I don't know why the Islanders moved there. Maybe it was a temporary home. I think that's what it was because Nassau had fallen into disrepair. But now they have their own barn in Elmont. But I'm going to say this right now. For the home away from home preseason game between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild, I think they did it best. They centered the rink instead of what's the word I'm thinking of? Instead of pushing it to one side of the ice like they did in Phoenix, like they did in New York. I'm pretty sure they did this in Salt Lake too. Actually, I think they did it where they centered the rink in Salt Lake too. And they didn't cut off as many seats on each side. The views weren't absolutely horrible. They weren't the greatest, but still. Also, Milwaukee Admirals. They have a hockey team there already who affiliates from Nashville. It also has rivals in Chicago, the Wolves, who are now independent. So Salt Lake and Milwaukee both have minor league hockey teams. They're both ECHL, AHL. I see no reason why these cities wouldn't support a team. I want Milwaukee to get a team. I honestly think if the NHL expanded, if they added 4 new teams to the league, I would want Quebec, Milwaukee, Kansas City, and Houston to get teams. Quebec and Milwaukee would be in the East. I just erased part of the Quebec Remparts name, but that's okay. Quebec and Milwaukee in the East, because Milwaukee's in the Central Time Zone. And think about it, Nashville's in the West, but they're as close to the Eastern Time Zone as you can get. I would put them in the East. And, you know, the Chicago Bulls are in the Eastern Conference. And Memphis is in the West. Wouldn't that be a simple switch? That's an NBA. And then I want Kansas City and Houston in the East. And we're going to get to that right now. These are the 2 cities that I think are most likely to get the Coyotes if Bettman doesn't find a way to keep them in Arizona. We're going to start with Kansas City. This is the one that I would personally want. There's one reason for that, and we'll get to that in a minute. T-Mobile Center is sitting there, open in 07. It seats 17,544 people for hockey. T-Mobile Arena in Vegas seats 17,500. It's an NHL-ready building right in the middle of the city, and there are no active tenants. This is why I think Kansas City is one of the best 2 options. You got a building there just ready for a tenant to swoop in and take over the property. I swear, somebody needs to occupy this building. And it's hosted hockey before. I completely forgot to note this. It hosted a couple of Blues preseason games. I think most recently was 2017. I don't remember. 2017 or 2018 when they hosted the Wild. It was the Wild that come up a few times on here. They played here and they played here against the Blues and the Hawks. Also, Kansas City Mavericks. They have that ECHL team playing in a smaller building somewhere in Kansas City or outside the city. I don't remember exactly where they're at. But think about it. I think Kansas City is an NHL-ready market for those reasons. They have an NHL-ready building that's just waiting for a tenant to swoop in and grab it. And they have an already existing hockey team. Lastly is the city that I think everyone wants, other than Quebec City. Houston. Because think about the top 5 largest cities in America. I completely forgot to write this. Oh, no, I did write it down. Think about the top 5 largest cities in America. New York, LA, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix. Those 5 cities. Houston is the only one to not have all 4. Well, I guess Phoenix is on there now. But the only one to not have all 4. Toyota Center, open in 03, seats 17,800 people. Very similar in size to Kansas City. Once again, NHL-ready building, and it's the 4th largest American city. Like, New York's got 2 teams. Might as well take the Islanders and plop them there. I'm just kidding, of course. They're there to stay, so are the Rangers, obviously. Los Angeles has the Kings, and I guess the Ducks, too, in Anaheim, which is a suburb. And Chicago has the Blackhawks. There is no reason why Houston shouldn't have an NHL team. I honestly think if Arizona moves to Houston, they could expand, add 4 new teams so they can have even divisions. Kansas City, Milwaukee, Quebec City, and maybe Salt Lake in the mix if they go to Houston. And also in the past, they had the Houston Aeros of the AHL. They've had a hockey team before, and they've played in that building. I honestly think Houston and Kansas City are the best 2 options for the Arizona Coyotes. But would they keep the name? I'm not so sure. I feel like there are many different names that they could take. Like when I did my Lego Hockey League, I had a team in Kansas City called the Thunder. I feel like that's perfect because they're in Tornado Alley. Kansas City Thunder just sounds great. Houston, they probably could keep the name because they're in the South, but Coyotes are more known for being in the desert. I don't know anything on that. You can fact check me in the comments if you want to. But again, these 2 cities are just waiting for a hockey team. So that's all I've got. Leave your thoughts on the whole situation down in the comments. If you did like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more. Share with your friends is the way to spread the word. Until we meet again, this is goodbye.